Hello and welcome. Good morning. You're watching Market Cafe with me, Snehi Shah. With me is Shreyansi Singh, and well, you're watching ET Now. Now, this is a show where we're going to take you through all the important updates that we've been tracking for you from India as well as globally while we were fast asleep last night. And in the second half of the show, we'll also take you through all the stocks that could be potential buzzers in today's trading session, as well as what brokerages have been flagging off for us this morning, the stocks that have made it to their radar. But with that, let's kickstart the show with the global handover. And Shreyansi, stellar moves coming in from the US markets, brilliant moves in fact, and the S&P 500 is also very close to finishing the entire quarter at a 10% record. So tell us what's happening with the US market.
Absolutely, it's very interesting what we've seen happen with the US markets when, like you mentioned, record day coming in. But when you look at futures, then futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 32 points, or about 0.8% thereabout. S&P futures as well inched a little bit lower, and same can be said about Nasdaq futures as well. But when you look at the regular trading session, that's where you've seen the bulk of the moves coming in, like you mentioned. So a stellar day, stocks rallied across the board when I'm looking at it. And when you look at S&P 500, that gained 0.8% thereabout, closing near that record high. Those are the kind of levels that we've seen come in for that particular average. When when you see Dow Jones Industrial Average as well, that also advanced 477 points, or 1.2% thereabout, for its best day in 2024. So those are the kind of moves that you've seen on Dow. And the tech-heavy Nasdaq as well added 0.5% thereabout. Those are the kind of moves. And the major averages are also tracking for their second consecutive winning quarter and the fifth straight winning month. Now for the quarter, when I'm looking at the moves, stellar moves coming for the quarter as well. So when I see the S&P 500, that is up about 10%. It is on pace for its best first quarter gain since 2019 when it rallied 13.1%. The 30 stock Dow as well up 5.5% during the period is tracking for its strongest first quarter performance since 2021 when it advanced 7.4%. Nasdaq as well is up 9.3% in the quarter thus far. So solid moves coming in when I'm looking at both on a quarter basis and on a daily basis then. And when you look at European markets, what you've seen is that they closed slightly higher on Wednesday, regained a little bit of steam after a subdued start to that particular session. When I'm looking at DAX, that saw an uptick of 0.5%, and when I'm looking at CAC 40 as well, France's CAC 40 was up around 0.3% thereabout in that particular session as well.
Well, alright, so stellar moves coming in from markets globally, but with that, let's also take a look at what's happening in the world of crude. Rather volatile day for crude yesterday because crude oil futures fell for a second day yesterday as US crude stockpiles rose, but however, they managed to recover later. Now, WTI managed to hold on to those 81.8 levels, so 0.6% uptick coming over there as well. Brent also comfortably above that $85 per barrel mark at $86.5. So while holding on to those gains is Brent as well, 0.5% uptick on that front too. Now, US commercial crude stockpiles, which exclude the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, rose by 3.2 million barrels for the week ended March 22. This is according to the Energy Information Administration, which is the EIA. Now, gasoline inventories rose by 1.3 million barrels. Domestic crude production was unchanged at 13.1 million barrels per day, and products supplied to the market to a proxy for demand fell by 100,000 barrels. So WTI has gained 13.5% for the year. And when you also look at Brent, what it has done for a year-to-date basis, it is up 11.7%. Pardon me, not year-to-date, for the financial year basis. This is what Brent has been clocking in. But with that, let's also shift focus and talk about gold, because gold prices gained on Wednesday as investors awaited a key US inflation data later this week, which could provide more clues on the Fed Reserve's policy path. Now, spot gold was up 0.5% at 2,209 per ounce, but managed to slip slightly after that, but a nominal downtick, not much to worry about. And the US Core Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index, which is the PCE, that is due for the month of February, that is due tomorrow. So the index, remember, had risen 0.3% in January, so we'll be watching out for that piece of data as well. But with that, Shreyansi, take us through all the important cues that we need to be tracking for the last trading session of the financial year and the one before the long weekend as well.
Absolutely, like you mentioned the PCE data, but then when we're looking at domestic then Nifty 50 and Nifty Next 50 rejig is likely to come into effect. So keep an eye on that. Nifty weekly as well as monthly expiry also will be on investors' radar. And in terms of global cues, you've got US initial jobless claims as well as GDP data coming in, and for the UK as well, there's GDP data. So keep an eye on those data sets as well. And in terms of corporate action, what will be in the spotlight is CRISIL, because that has an AGM and persistent shares will be trading ex stock split. So keep an eye on that counter as well. Now, it's the last day to buy to be eligible for dividend for CRISIL, REC, R Systems, SBI Card, Hoodco as well. And in terms of the IPO watch, of course, there's SRM Contractors IPO that closes. So that will be in the spotlight. And in terms of other cues to track, then last day to use Section 80C tax saving provisions and T+0 settlement beta version to be launched on BSE. So those two news flows will also remain in focus. So that's largely the events that you should keep an eye on.
Well, absolutely. And the two most important highlights today on Dalal Street are going to be this Nifty rejig that is definitely going to happen today. And Shriram Finance is expected to see the highest inflows, and also the T+0 settlement cycle on BSE. Remember, this is unlike the normal trading session beginning at 9:15, and the trades for under this settlement cycle will only be ending at 1:30, and this is only for a limited 25 stocks. But let's kickstart this morning with some global news then. The US business leaders met with Chinese President Xi Jinping as Beijing aims to renew efforts to woo foreign investors and mend strained relations with the US. Now, Cristiano Amon of Qualcomm, Raj Subramaniam of FedEx, and Stephen Schwarzman of the Blackstone Group were among the few leaders who attended the meeting. The Chinese president invited US businesses to continue to invest in China and pledged further reforms to open the country's market to foreign firms.
Shifting focus to US, the US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who warns against China's treatment of the global economy to dump cheaper clean energy products, suppressing prices and thereby placing US's green manufacturing capabilities. She added that the intention is to put pressure on Chinese officials about these trade practices during her upcoming visit to China.
Well, shifting focus to comments from the Fed Reserve Governor Christopher Waller, who still expects to cut rates this year but isn't ready to take a step without more signs of inflation easing. Waller's stance came in a tad bit more cautious than the central bank chairman Jerome Powell and Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee, both of whom have said that the fundamental story about falling inflation had not changed despite the hotter than expected readings and in January as well as February.
And BlackRock founder and chairman Larry Fink says that India's fondness for gold has neither benefited the economy nor generated returns for investors. Fink emphasized the importance of capital markets and how they can improve a country's economic standing as opposed to gold. Now, what's important to note is that with the current surge in prices of the yellow metal, where is demand headed? Gold consumption in the country has consistently been the highest in the world, with the RBI purchasing 4.7 tons of gold last month, pushing the reserves to an all-time high of 817 tons.
Well, moving on, let's talk about the sporting sensation that has taken over all our TV screens. And if you talk about last night's match, a cumulative 500 runs between Mumbai and Hyderabad. So what a match that was. But IPL's brand value has seen a meteoric rise since its inception in 2008. And my colleague Sharad Dubey is joining us to analyze how various IPL teams and their valuations are stacking up right now. Sharad, take it away.
The IPL's valuation is, do remember, it's a decacorn now. Now, decacorn is something which is having a valuation of more than $10 billion. Now, of course, the brand levels, that has gone up almost 5 times since its inception, which was in 2008. Now, of course, over the last 3 years itself also, the valuation has actually gone up. It was roughly below $5 billion in terms of brand, and that has picked up in just 3 years in 2024, coming near the $11 billion mark. But the question remains is, which is the most valuable IPL team currently? And of course, there is no doubt it's Mumbai Indians, $87 million. And of course, they have won the largest number of trophies, sharing with CSK as well. The valuation part, of course, CSK is having almost $81 million when it comes to their brand value. And also the shares of this company actually trades in the unlisted space as well. So that will be very interesting to watch out for. KKR coming from SRK bandwagon, $79 million of brand valuations coming in, followed by RCB as well as Gujarat Titans, which is just 2 years old, but still look at the valuations. That's coming at roughly $65 million. Apart from this, also on the lower end, also if you look at it, Delhi Capitals is there where JSW Group has holding, and also Rajasthan Royals, they make it to the list with a $63 million of brand flows. Also Sunrisers Hyderabad, of course, this is actually taken apart in the financial numbers and it is shown when it comes to Sun TV network. And interestingly, Lucknow Super Giants is also part of RPSG Ventures as well. And lastly, Punjab Kings come last with almost a $45 million valuation. But do remember, these are the brand values which are there. And overall, it's still a huge number when it comes in a combined basis of $11 billion.
Well, thanks, Sharad, for that roundup. But Snehi, what a match it was, right?
Absolutely.
It didn't matter if they were wearing an orange jersey or a blue jersey. What you did see was excellence in cricket.
Well, absolutely. A complete, if you could call it a Paisa Vasool match for everybody who went to the stadium yesterday. 35,000 had clocked in the stadium yesterday to watch the match. And what a thriller, what a run chase. I wasn't expecting Mumbai to even reach close to the target that Hyderabad had set. But well, even though we lost the match, Mumbai did quite brilliantly yesterday. Everybody except, unfortunately, Hardik Pandya were able to perform yesterday. So, well, we'll see how this pans out for Mumbai Indians going ahead. Hopefully, we have better days. And, well, Shreyansi, because I am from Mumbai, I am supporting Mumbai. But which team are you rooting for this time?
Mumbai as well,
Mumbai
but
as
then
well.
after yesterday's performance, it was a little bit of a... But, you know, it doesn't matter because both teams did win hearts with the kind of batting that we saw yesterday.
Absolutely. What a batting game, what a batting pitch, and what an absolutely brilliant game. But viewers, with that, we'll slip into a short break on this edition of Market Cafe. When we return, we'll take a look at how the Asian markets have opened up, so you stay tuned.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. At day one of the Times Now summit, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman responded to Congress's charges of tax terrorism and around electoral bonds. Listen into a slice of what she had to say. She talked about how political parties also have to pay their dues. Listen into what else she had to say.
Taxmen can ask you for payments from you, the claims which have been made, the assessee, you or I, will have to pay it. So is the party if it has violated that exemption which is given to them. As a political party, well, you file your assessments, you don't pay a tax. But you have not filed an assessment. And it is not just overnight. It's been going on from 21. You went to one court, the court said, pay it up. The second court, pay it up. Appeal, pay it up. No way have they said the IT was wrong in coming to you. Then you accept to pay some money. The entire amount which is levied on you, interest, penalty, all inclusive, you don't pay. You just pay a bit and again another bit. And then suddenly you think, oh, let me go to the court again. But suddenly elections are on, so you think best is to make political capital out of it. The courts have thrashed a law which existed. It was a law passed by the parliament. And based on the law, bonds have been bought, bonds have been encashed. Today, the Supreme Court has said, no, that law shall not be. And having said that that law is no longer valid, they still went ahead to say, reveal everything which happened during that phase. And it's also equally true, I'm not dissecting the court's order, but it's equally true that at that time, confidentiality of the donor was given in the law. ED raids have happened even on those who have given the money to BJP. You may pick up and say, ED raids have happened and therefore some donors picked up bonds and gave. But I want to also put it the other way around. People had given money through the bonds. ED raids still happened. It didn't give them the immunity.
Well, all right, let's move on. And the Reserve Bank of India has modified the norms for investment of banks and non-banking financial companies as well as other lenders in alternate investment funds, which is the AIFs. Let's go across to Ankur for more details on this. Ankur, good morning and thanks so much for joining us so early in the day. Tell us what this means for lenders and break down this new directive for us.
Yes, the Reserve Bank of India has tweaked the rules governing investments in alternative investment funds, and that has offered some relief for lenders who were forced to make large provisions, and investors are suddenly facing a drought of capital. Now, the latest direction from Reserve Bank of India says that lenders need to provide only for the amount the AIF has invested in the debtor company and not the entire amount. So that means that if suppose a company had to make a total provisioning of 100 crore for total investment, now it can go down because the specific company may have made only a specific amount, let's say 50 crore investment back in the debtor company. So that provisioning amount may be reduced. Apart from that, Reserve Bank of India has also said that directive does not cover the equity shares of the debtor company, but all other investments, including hybrid investments. Now, remember in December, Reserve Bank of India had ordered banks and non-bank lenders to sell their investment in AIFs, which had further invested in companies to which lenders had been given the loans in previous 12 months, and 100% provisioning was required to be made. So it can offer some relief to banks and NBFCs.
All right, Ankur, important update coming in for the AIF guidelines. Thank you so much for joining us with that update. Moving on then, Finance Ministry has issued its borrowing plans for the first half of financial year 25, and it is set to borrow 7.5 crore rupees in this period. Prakash Priyadarshi filed this report earlier. Take a look.
Yes, a very significant development coming in as the Finance Ministry has come out with a detailed borrowing plan for the first half of the financial year 2024-25. As per the Finance Ministry's statement, government will borrow rupees 7.5 lakh crore from the market in the first half of the financial year 2025, which is almost 53% of its overall FY25 borrowing target. Along with that, the gross borrowing target of rupees 7.5 lakh crore shall be completed through 26 weekly auctions. A very significant development coming in. As you are aware that the government has set a target to borrow rupees 14.13 lakh crore during FY25, which was announced by the Finance Minister in the interim budget, and this is lower than the last year's gross borrowing estimate of rupees 15.43 lakh crore, which was highest ever. Along with that, rupees 12,000 crore will be raised through issuance of sovereign green bonds, and it has also been decided by the government to introduce a new dated security of 15-year tenure. It is important to note that the government will continue to reserve the right to exercise green shoe option to retain an additional subscription of up to rupees 2,000 crore.
Well, Prakash, thanks so much for all of those details. But let's talk about what's happening, what's new that's going to be happening on BSE today. And select stocks on BSE will be trading under the T+0 settlement from today. BSE will be introducing the beta version of the T+0 trade settlement. Now, remember, currently the Indian markets operate on a T+1 settlement cycle for all stocks. And this T+0 settlement will be optional for a list of 25 stocks. And this will be in addition to the existing T+1 settlement cycle that will be taking over regularly and going on regularly in the equity cash market. And now the T+0 trade settlement will only be applicable for the trades executed between 9:15 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. today. So it's not like a regular trading session from 9:15 to 3:30. And trading in the T+0 cycle will be subject to a price band of 100 bips above or below prices under the T+1 cycle that will be taking place simultaneously to ensure that there is not much fluctuation happening in either of these trade cycles. Now, Ambuja Cement, Bajaj Auto, Ashok Leyland, Cipla, Coforge, JSW Steel are some of the 25 stocks eligible for the same-day settlement that begins today on BSE. So watch out for this new development that will begin taking place today.
Absolutely, a very important development, and this will definitely be on our radars today. But moving on then to an ET Now exclusive, sources confirm that Bajaj Housing Finance, a subsidiary of Bajaj Finance, is in talks with investors for a potential IPO. This move is in line with RBI's norms for upper-layer NBFCs to list within 3 years of being notified. Ankur Mishra is standing by with more details.
Yes, sources say that Bajaj Housing Finance is going to launch an IPO very soon, and we understand that for that the groundwork has started. Sources have informed us that the company has reached out to several investment bankers, and the potential size of the IPO could be around rupees 8,000 crore. However, we should specify here that no final call has been taken on the quantum and size of the IPO. That will be done after the report, after the feedback which is received from investment bankers. Now, why company is coming up with an IPO? It is due to the scale-based regulations of Reserve Bank of India, and it is mandated under the rules that the company has to list within the 3 years, and that falls around September 2025. Therefore, the company has started the groundwork for launching an IPO, and we can see that the final details on IPO could be out very soon.
All right, thanks Ankur for all of those details. Let's move on and then talk about the next big story that we are tracking today, and shifting focus to an exclusive. Sources tell ET now that the Power Ministry has met top power, coal and petroleum ministry officials to take stock of the supply situation in the country ahead of the scorching summers. Here's Prakash Priyadarshi, my colleague, with the key takeaways from that meeting. Prakash, take it away.
Yes, we are learning from our sources that the Power Minister has held an important meeting with the officials on current power supply situation in the country. We are given to understand that a comprehensive strategy has been prepared by the government in order to ensure sufficient availability of power in the country. As per the Power Ministry's assessment, peak hour power demand likely to go beyond 250 gigawatt during current summer season, especially during the month of April to June. Therefore, a strategy has been prepared to ensure sufficient availability of power in the country. This meeting was attended by the top officials of Power, Coal and Petroleum Ministry, and it has been decided to restart around 7,000 megawatt capacity of gas-based power plant during current summer season in order to ensure sufficient availability of power. GAIL has been instructed to supply sufficient gas to these power plants, and it has also been decided to derive a mechanism to discover actual price for the power being produced from these gas-based power plant. Along with that, a benchmark has been fixed for a sale of power being produced from this gas-based power plant, and the power plants will be allowed to sell power through power exchanges only, especially during month of April to June. We also given to understand that the NTPC is going to be biggest beneficiary of this decision, as it will receive sufficient gas for its 5,000 megawatt capacity of gas-based power plants.
Well, thanks Prakash for that update. Timed out on this segment, but we'll see you on the other side with an update on which stocks you should keep on your radar.
Hi there, welcome back, and thanks so much for staying tuned to Market Cafe. Well, just one more trading session to go before we wind up the financial year, and it's been a year of record highs, but Dalal Street also saw its fair share of volatility this year. So let's see how D Street has performed for the year gone by, and my colleague Ansh is joining in with all the important data on D Street's performance over the last year. Ansh, take it away.
This financial year, Nifty, Nifty Mid-Cap, Nifty Small-Cap, all three registered its biggest single financial year gain in over 20 years. Also, all indices touched record high levels as well. Nifty gains around 27%, having Tata Motors, Bajaj Auto being the top gainers, gaining by around more than 130%. Losers are only UPL, HUL and HDFC Bank in Nifty Index. But if you talk about other broad indices, both mid-cap and small-cap are also in green. They are up by around 60 and 69% respectively, and around 90% of both mid-cap and small-cap stocks are in green, with 20% stock delivering return more than 100%. Let's shift our focus to sectoral indices as well. And here we are seeing Nifty Realty as the top sectoral gainer. It even touched record high levels this financial year. Actually, all indices touched record high level except for Nifty IT index. Now here we'll see that Nifty PSU Bank index is advancing for fourth consecutive financial year, gaining more than 85%, whereas Nifty Bank 2 advances for fourth consecutive session. Let's also talk about market cap. And here we are seeing India's market cap for stocks in FY24 has increased by around 123 lakh crore, out of which Reliance Bharti Airtel, TCS and LIC and Tata Motors have contributed the most by around 13 lakh crore, which is more than 10% of the total market cap addition. So overall, this FI is marking a history by showing us moves not seen in decades.
All right, thanks Ansh for that update. As promised, let's also take a look at which stocks you should keep on your radar. Ashesha is joining in with that list. Well, moving on then, we'll get back to Ashesha, but in the meantime, room AC demand has been muted across brands, but channel checks by Prabhudas Leeladhar suggest that demand is expected to surge with forecasts of a severe summer. In anticipation, players have hiked their prices despite competition. Winnie is standing by with the details, but we'll go to her in a bit. Snehi, what do you think about the AC channel checks? Because according to what Prabhudas Leeladhar is saying, there's soft demand across brands that is being seen.
Well, absolutely, and summers have, already begun. Earlier, we were expecting summers to begin by April or May, April, in fact, a few years ago, but because of everything that's been happening, summers have begun early, so AC demand is also expected to be rather robust this year. But we have Winnie joining us with more details on this. Winnie, good morning. Take it away.
Good morning. And in terms of the room AC channel checks, and this is coming in from a report from Prabhudas Leeladhar, let's not forget summers are expected to be hotter, so we could see good demand coming. And what Prabhudas Leeladhar channel check is suggesting that now at least till March 20th, there was a bit of a softness in terms of demand. But post-Holi, they were expecting demand to start seeing a pickup. Companies have taken price hikes also during this period as well. And this is despite the competition that we've seen increasing in the room AC segment. Mitsubishi, Lloyd, as well as Voltas had leading the price hikes, taken around 2 to 3%, followed by other brands that have taken price hikes. Other than that, inventory levels obviously are high, preparing for the summer season so far. So yes, summers are expected to see a pickup in terms of the demand. That's what the highlight is coming in, especially after Holi that has just gotten over this week. We're expecting an increase in terms of demand, and obviously what is expected is that the most selling and high products which are selling so far is 1.5 tons 3-star AC, which is a Voltas as well as Dakin. The high-end products, O General is still doing quite well. They're seeing good demand over there in high-end products. That continues to lead over there. Impact that we could see, Havells has taken around a 2 to 3% price hike. So prices are higher than that of LG and Samsung. That's something to watch out for. Voltas has taken a 2 to 3% price hike. But do not forget that they've been starting to gain some market share on that front. So seems like they're gaining market share. That's a channel check that is suggesting in terms of the demand trends there. For Blue Star, what is there is in terms of they're expecting demand coming in from post-Holi. So keeping an eye out on that. And Johnson Control has also said that, their prices are higher than that of LG and Samsung. So keep an eye out on that, given the prices are higher. How that actually shapes up is something to watch out for these different brands.
Absolutely. Thanks, Winnie, for that update coming in. But Ashesha is standing by with the stocks that you should keep on your radar. Ashesha?
Well, yes, first up, let's talk about IDFC First Bank, and a block deal is expected to happen today where Barbara Pincus is looking to sell about 2.6% stake in the company, and the total transaction value could stand at about 1170 odd crores. Floor price has been fixed at 75 rupees per share, which is at a discount of about 4% to yesterday's closing price. So keep an eye out on this counter on account of this block deal, which is expected to happen today. Let's also talk about ICICI Securities, and that is because shareholders meeting was scheduled to happen yesterday, and it did happen, and the shareholders have now approved delisting of ICICI Securities, and the swap ratio is 100:67, which means if you have 100 securities or 100 shares of ICICI Securities, you will get 67 shares of ICICI Bank. So on account of this delisting proposal, which has now been approved by shareholders, keep an eye out on ICICI Securities as well. Moving on to a whole host of pharma companies which will be in focus on the back of US FDA action, and in that first up we have Alchem Laboratories, where US FDA conducted inspection at its Baddi plant, and they've issued Form 483 with 10 observations. Keep an eye out on this counter. And on Zydus Life, because US FDA conducted inspection at its SEZ Onco injectable manufacturing facility in Ahmedabad, and US FDA has issued Form 483 with 4 observations, but the company has clarified that it is not with respect to data integrity issues, and they will be able to solve these issues. They will be in talks with US FDA to solve these problems, so keep an eye out on Zydus Life as well. Moving on to Dr. Reddy's then, where the company has entered into an exclusive distribution partnership with Sanofi Healthcare. This is to promote and distribute Sanofi's vaccine brands, including well-established pediatric and adult vaccines in India. So big development that has come through, positive for both Dr. Reddy's as well as Sanofi India. And lastly, let's talk about Texmaco Rail, and this counter will be in focus on account of recent fundraise. So the company recently concluded its 250 crore QIP, and now we have the details of who were the participants. So ADIA, or Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, and Societe Generale were some of the QIP participants on account of these marquee names entering into this counter. Keep an eye out on this name as well.
Shesha, thanks so much for taking us through that. We will be keeping our eye out on all of these stocks today, but let's talk about some news that's coming on credit cards, and brokerages are flagging off credit card issuers this morning. Remember, credit card issuers have been in focus over the last few weeks, especially after RBI said that card issuers should provide an option for the eligible customers to choose from multiple card networks. So let's take a look at what JP Morgan is saying, and they're saying that the industry spends are up 26% on a year-on-year basis to 1.5 lakh crore rupees. They're saying that 1.1 million net issuances have been led by HDFC Bank, and industry cards outstanding have been up 21% on a year-on-year basis as well. Lastly, they're also saying that asset quality will be a key metric to monitor. After JP Morgan, we also have HSBC that has come out with a view on these credit card issuers, and they're saying that growth in cards in force remains stable. Now remember, the growth in force talks about the total number of credit or debit cards issued by a financial institution that are presently active and in use by cardholders. They say that the hit from embargo on commercial card arrangements has been notable, and it is also leading to a notable market share loss for SBI Card. SBI Card has reported a sharp decline in market share as well. So, well, this is what these two brokerages are flagging off when it comes to the major credit card issuers in the country.
Absolutely, and aside from JP Morgan saying that asset quality is a key monitorable, the commentary on SBI Card's market share loss stands out to me particularly, right?
Absolutely.
But with that, we're timed out on this edition of Market Cafe on ET Now. From me, Shreyansi Singh, Snehi Shah, as well as the entire team that put this show together, thank you so much for watching. The market takes the action forward, so you don't go anywhere.